All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be touching on the top prop bets for round 4, as well as giving you guys the showdown picks here for round 4. Maybe touching on some golfers that have the best chance to win as well. Let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I do want to start out with showing off the round 4 pin placements, guys, because look at all these pins. They are basically all tucked for the most part. You know, hole 1 is going to be tucked behind a bunker. This one's kind of open-ish, but still kind of a tucked pin. This one's tucked behind a bunker. This one's tucked behind a bunker. This one, you know, in the front of the green by a water hazard. That one's interesting. Hole 6, somewhat easy, I would say. 7, somewhat easy. 8, difficult. 9, difficult. 10, difficult. 11, extremely difficult. 12, easy-ish, but not really. That's the thing. All of them are going to be difficult pin placements. So to me, I do want to start with like the round 4 props, because I think that's where we are currently getting the biggest edge. And I will get into the showdown picks here. I think we are kind of getting a significant edge. And one prop bet that I really like right now is going to be David Skins for over his strokes on Underdog. This is a 1.5 stroke difference. Guys, to me, that screams a good bet right now on Underdog to bet the over, because again, it's going to be tucked pins in the slate. And so I do think the scoring is going to be much more difficult in round 4. But like looking at right now, Rory to get 6 birdies, that to me just seems unlikely tomorrow. 5, sure, it might be a push, but for him to get over 5 seems very difficult. Now, can he do it? Sure, he's Rory McIlroy, but I do agree that would be a good bet to bet the under there. Ricky Fowler, you know, to get under 4.5 birdies, I do agree that's a good one as well. But I want to take a peek at these prop line differences, seeing if we're getting any other really good ones. And we are not. And just as an FYI, the no line is currently available. I had to put that in there, or else I just have to. But yeah, that's a big prop line difference that we are currently getting. I don't mind betting that both ways. You know, if he shoots a 71, we're fine with it. Heck, if he shoots a 72, we're fine with it. I do like the idea of betting those both ways, but that one is a significant outlier as it sits right now. In terms of fairways hit, we are seeing a slight edge there for Shane Lowry over 9.5. I'd be fine with that. Greens and regulation for Chris Kirk, a slight edge there as well. Perfectly fine with that. Shane Lowry, I think this would be a push for him to get 4 birdies. You know, I'd be kind of fine with that. But in terms of the ones that we are getting the biggest edges on, I do agree that it is going to be a more difficult slate in which to hit a lot of birdies, or to make a lot of birdies, I should phrase it that way. But yeah, looking at it more from an underdog perspective, interesting here. I do agree that David Skins for under his strokes, or sorry, for him to get over 70.5 strokes is a great underdog bet. At the same time, the data likes the over fantasy score for him. So, you know, interestingly enough there, and I would say that does correlate pretty well though with him getting 70.5 strokes. Like if you are someone that's betting the under on, or you don't want to bet the under on PrizePicks for 72 strokes, this would be a way of doing that by betting the over fantasy points. JT Poston, I don't mind. Heck, Chris Kirk, I don't mind for over their fantasy points. That seems to be the biggest edge right now is points. So that's probably what I'm going to do there on Underdog. So I did just want to start out with these prop bets because, like, I do think we are gaining a pretty big edge right now, especially with David Skins there. You know, the most people that I can help, the better, right? So I want to put that at the start of the video, and then I'll get into the showdown stuff, because that stuff is not going to change. You know, guys, hit the notification bell as well, because that's just something I want to do each and every slate, especially when there's a big edge, is give you guys, you know, these props where we're getting a pretty significant edge. So I do like pairing these up with the 2 higher fantasy score prop bets, the ones that were standing out for Underdog. And these don't exactly correlate. This isn't like correlating with the course at all. So this is actually going to be a better payout than the standard payout than this other bet that I'm going to show you guys. This other bet much more aligns with how the course is projected to play, I would say, tomorrow. Okay. Now, one other caveat that I do need to look at is going to be whether I'm going to do that for the showdown purposes, but this is another way of going about attacking that. So on the flip side of this, and I will say, like, Shane Lowry, not really a birdie maker. Like if he gets 5 birdies, that's kind of surprising. He's typically someone that doesn't make that many mistakes. Whereas Keith Mitchell, much more kind of hit or miss. Maybe he's someone that gets an eagle, right? That's what I'm hoping for there. He is someone that can score, but those were the 2 that the data liked the most. And I just want to pair the Skins prop line difference, the huge discrepancy, with a prop bet. And these ones correlate. So a slightly reduced payout, still a good prop bet edge. So I'm showing you guys this way because I do think we want a middle with David Skins where we are betting less than strokes, because again, that's a huge prop line difference. I would agree that the better bet though is going to be on Underdog for him to bet the over there. I think that's the better of the 2 bets. Okay. But I don't mind the idea of using him on PrizePicks as well. A good middling opportunity. I like Shane Lowry to get over 9.5 fairways hit. And then with the course, I think playing harder, it is more difficult to imagine Rory getting 6 birdies, you know, for this to miss. I think it has a good chance to be a push, but at the same time, that's a good edge. And then Cameron Young for less than 4.5 birdies or better, that's a good one as well. So it's less of a bet of the day for PrizePicks than it's just me highlighting the 4 best prop bets that we have. You know, how you guys go about using that's up to you. Do want to remind you guys, if you guys do choose to use that Underdog prop bet or any of those, you have never signed up before, use the promo code 9to5. That will kick back some money my way, and it'll give you guys a 100% match on deposit up to $100. Now let's go ahead and get into the Showdown pick. So I will say I've seen a lot of weird takes around why the PGA Tour leaderboard has been as strange as it has been really this whole season in terms of like random winners. At the same time, a lot of the winners that we've had thus far this season, or a lot of the golfers that have played well thus far this season, keep playing well. So it just might be an outlier part of the season. But to me, this is the reason why I didn't exactly love LIV. It's not like LIV taking golfers away from the PGA Tour has hurt the PGA Tour product. I really don't think so. It's more the backside of that, the incentive. A lot of the top players on the PGA Tour now are getting into these no-cut events, getting into these huge field, or getting into these huge prize fields where it doesn't really matter how well they play, especially for the tournaments like this. It doesn't really matter how these play, where these other guys are really fighting for their lives on the PGA Tour now, more so than ever. And there's more incentive for them to play well. And so the little things add up, like the small little things add up. And I think that's really the biggest difference right now with what's going on there. And I start with that because I'll show you guys in a second the lineups that we've had for Showdown purposes, at least in terms of the lineup builder spitting out like the optimal builds. A lot of them have a lot of salary left over, and that's just due to these kind of lower price golfers really playing well. And so it's definitely an interesting round 4 showdown. Now I do want to start with showing you guys the weather. And so tomorrow going to be a little bit better weather wise, but we haven't seen it be that like much more windy. Like wind in Florida, especially on this course, is just enough. And with those tuck pin locations, I do think it's going to be harder scoring. I think that's just going to happen. And yeah, just look at this leaderboard, guys. Like the highest owned player is Shane Lowry at like 11%. I mean, that's just pretty crazy. And then Pavan, who I was on, and that's the annoying part about this week is that, these lower price plays that I was on are doing well. I'm actually really pulling for Alex Noren to, come from behind and win. 5 might be a little bit too much, but it wouldn't be shocking to see him shoot like, I don't know, let's say 3 under par, and some of these golfers come back to the field. You could see that happening. But yeah, this is kind of what I expected though when I started the week. It's that, it's not that hard to be on the winner, I would say, and that still might not be true, but it's a week in which it's a pretty open week. But I do expect these players that were ranking out really well, Noren, Henley, Pavan, Cameron Young, I do expect those players to start to play better in round 4. So I think those are going to be the golfers that we try to chase. But yeah, interesting week ownership wise. Let's go and get into those Showdown picks directly now for you guys. So looking at the ownership board, we're going to go and select round 4 here. And so we've got a whole plethora of data for you guys to look at. Really what I'm just care about is going to be the round 4 showdown rank. And this does take into priority these golfers that, let's put the play slider on, 1, filter out those other golfers there. And yeah, let's just go to top 6. Yeah, I don't know about Kevin Yu being the top showdown play, but that's certainly interesting. And so this is kind of the weird part about round 4 is that when Kevin Yu, for example, has made the cut, he has played pretty well in all the rounds. And so we look at round 4 scoring average, I'm sure he's up there. Yeah, really good in round 4 scoring average. And so a lot of people are probably going to go Shane Lowry as a pick, and he just hasn't been that good in round 4s, which, albeit whatever, it's just interesting in that regard there. I think the pick is Russell Henley. I don't think he's going to regress that much, but it's certainly interesting when you look at it that way. And so that, again, is going to be the conundrum that we have for round 4 showdown, is that a lot of the good plays, a lot of the best plays are going to be these golfers that are lower priced, and we're seeing that already. So I do think Russell Henley, though, is going to be the play we want to pay up for. Tom Kim I'd be fine with, but I think Pavan is going to be the one I want to go with. I just kind of naturally want to play these golfers that have already been on. And Alex Noren, he's played well the last 2 rounds. I think he's going to be the golfer I want to go out of my way to play, even though he's not ranking out the best. I think that's going to be the best route. And so let's actually just take a peek at win rank as well. I'm kind of just curious here. So Shane Lowry, number 1, I think that makes sense. Ekro, number 2, I think that makes sense as well. Kevin Yu being 4 is interesting. I wanted to see Noren 15. Yeah, that's probably a little bit too thin to, bat him outright. I'm actually curious though, before I show you guys the lineup builder, I just want to take a peek at that as well. I mean, this correlates with Showdown picks for round 4. Let's take a peek at the outright market here, just in general. So yeah, they're giving Shane Lowry the best odds. And then, so this does correlate pretty well with the win rank as well. Slight difference between Min Woo Lee and Kevin Yu. I don't know, could Russell Henley or Noren sneak into a victory? I kind of think there's potential there. And honestly, I don't mind Kevin Yu at 28-1 odds. I don't think that's terrible. Certainly interesting there. I think that's interesting. But let's go ahead and show you guys the Showdown pick. So I'm just going to show you guys some of the builds that I already made. So the first set that I ran, I want to call out that salary remaining. And so you go to like the statistics for the lineups, the average salary for this lineup or for these lineups was 49-3-0-0. And some of the best lineups, and this is with how the golfers are playing right now, because obviously finishing position matters. Like, this is crazy. And so it's kind of a weird thing. And this is where, if you're some of that max centers, I actually don't mind the idea of running out like 25 to 50 lineups like this, just naturally going off of the best lineups. But I do think the natural thing you're going to want to do is really set this to maybe, this is why I typically like to set at maybe just 1,000 left over. You know, it's round 4 showdown. Some wild stuff happens, and it's the most difficult to predict because round finishing position matters so much. It's the most random. And so, heck, if you want to toss in like 10% randomness, if you wanted to do that, you could. 10%. Like, you could do that as well. I'd be fine with that. Like, that's okay because round 4 is the most random. And so this is more what I ended up on though, when I did that. So now the average salary remaining, not as bad. Okay. And then the average players I got to, a lot of Russell Henley. So really betting on Russell Henley to have another good game or another good day. EVR popping up in there. Surprisingly enough, not a lot of Kevin Yu. And so I think that might be a mistake. I think I'm going to want to get to more Kevin Yu. And so I'm going to bump up his because, again, 4th in win rank. I think that's something I want to value there. And so maybe not 40% of builds, but let's just go with like 30% of builds. I think that's a better route to go with him. And it's probably just pricing compared to everyone else. But we've seen him produce in round 4. I think he's someone we do want to go out of our way to target. That's like the only slight data entry fix that I'm going to make. So I will say this is a little bit better, but still at the same time, I don't know if I like love that too much. Like, I still want to probably get more you. Honestly, probably more Shane Lowry. I kind of get why it's not pulling in that much. And I get why it's prioritizing like Henley, a little bit of Kim, Pavan. I probably want the second most of. But again, that's the issue with round 4. So definitely an interesting slate. And look at the like projected best lineup. I mean, that's going to be repeated a bunch, I bet. So interesting there. But that's going to do it for this video. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. Do appreciate that, guys. Let's have a good round 4 slate in both prize picks betting and also round 4 showdown. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.